Welcome everybody to the Arduino Starter Kit project course. In this course, we are going to be going through all 15 programs or projects of the Arduino Starter booklet. And this is program 1 through 15, where we look at both the source code as well as the hardware configurations. And really the goal here is to make certain that you are as comfortable as possible once you're completed with the book, the Arduino Starter Kit booklet, to go out and start making embedded programs and projects of your own. So with that being said, the first thing we need to do is get on the web and purchase the starter kit itself if you haven't done so already, as well as download a couple of IDEs, right? Integration or integrated development environments. This is just what we use to develop software in. And 98% of everything that we're going to do in this course is with the Arduino IDE, but there is an additional one for program 14, which is something from processing.org, where we start to look at a serial port more in depth. So we do need that second IDE. Don't worry about if this doesn't make sense for you right now with serial port, whatever. But just realize that we need to download a couple of pieces of software to make certain that we're successful in all 15 of the projects that we'll be working with. But first, let's take a look at actually purchasing the Arduino Starter Kit if you haven't done so already. Here's the URL to purchase, where you can go purchase the starter kit. Now, one thing I want to point out here is here in the URL that I'm providing, you'll see this USA component or this token in the URL. This is simply because I am in the United States. If you're in another country, make certain that the URL is accurate for your particular region, because that will impact what currency is the price point, whether it's dollars, euros, the pound, or any number of currency around the world that you can actually purchase this kit using. So again, just make certain that you're paying attention to that in the URL. Now, one of the things that the Arduino website provides is it gives you an indication of what currency and locale it's actually understanding you are currently in. In my case, it's the United States, but make certain that wherever it is that you're purchasing the right one. So yours, it may be Italy or French or or France or the UK, wherever it may be. Just make certain that you're paying attention to that. So when you go to add that to your cart, that's all you need to do. And based off where you are, it's going to determine the price in the proper currency. In my case, it's $77.21. It's going to be different for pounds and euros or wherever you are in the world that you're purchasing it. So regardless, just make certain that on this page, you're in the right region, and purchasing it is as simple as anything else on the web. So once you've purchased the starter kit, the next thing you do is typically download the Arduino IDE onto your system. Now, this is going to vary a little bit whether you're on Windows or Linux or Mac. But again, there's a URL, and again, you'll see here that the EN for my region, English be my primary language. If you're Spanish, ES, Italian, IT, French, FR, right? So just make certain that when you're downloading this IDE, that you're downloading the proper one for your dialect and region, so that way it's just easier for you. Now, you're going to see a web page similar to this. You've already purchased the starter kit, so just go ahead and just download the IDE. Like I said, you've already purchased something from Arduino, And that's, that they're putting out some stuff for free. So it's nice if you haven't paid anything to donate, but you've made a purchase. So just go ahead and download the Arduino IDE. There's no restrictions on it. You can just download it and start working. The installation is going to be a little bit different whether or not you're on Linux, Windows, or Mac. But regardless, it's an extremely straightforward process on all operating systems. So once you download it, it's as easy as installing any other software that you have on your system. With that said, when you go to start up the Arduino IDE for the very first time, make certain that the Arduino board is plugged into your computer. And what you'll do is in the upper left-hand corner, you'll select that drop down and you'll find your Arduino board. Now here, the Arduino board, in my case, I'm using the Arduino Uno, which you will as well if you're purchasing this starter kit. You'll see the modem or the USB modem 1101, right? That is your Arduino board. And the CU just means call up, and it implies that you're writing out to a serial port, right? You're calling it up and you're writing data out to the serial. And because the Arduino IDE is actually uploading your program onto the board, right? That's where the call up comes from. Later on in project 14, you'll see a TTY, which is just teletype, which more or less is reading from the serial. And we'll look more at that later. You don't need to worry about that now. But for setting up your Arduino IDE, make certain that the board is plugged in and you find this Arduino Uno USB modem 1101 on the dev CU. Select that and you should just be able to develop your software and upload your programs to the Arduino board without issue. So with that being said, the other IDE that we mentioned when we start talking about reading from the serial port, again, this will not be needed until project 14. But you go to the URL shown, processing.org download, and here, make certain that the proper operating system is selected, as well as the stable version. You can, if you really know what you're doing, you can get the beta version if you want. The beta version can be buggy sometimes, so I always advocate for beginners to select the stable version. And then all you need to do is download the IDE for your proper operating system. Again, in my case, I'm on a Mac. If you're on a Windows or a Linux, you'll see something different here. And you just have to follow the very standard, typical installation that each operating system provides for the Processing IDE, and you'll be good to go. Again, we're not going to be using the Processing IDE until the 14th program or 14th project. So again, should be pretty straightforward for you regardless. Now, the only other thing that we're going to walk through in this video is we're just going to take a quick walkthrough of actually setting up our developer board, simply because when you first get the kit, this is not really put together. It's relatively intuitive, but regardless, we're going to do a quick walkthrough of that, of putting this board together next. Again, pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but that's it for all the downloads that we need to look at. And so let's go ahead and start taking a look at actually getting that kind of that developer board set up. Okay, so this next video is going to be a pretty quick one as well. And what we're going to do now is just pretty much build out a little stand for our Arduino board along with our breadboard. And so you have this component with your little plastic thing with your kit. Now we're going to take all the pieces out from here and all through here, but realistically for this, we're only going to be worried about these four components or little tabs right here. That's just going to make a little stand. You can see that it has the Arduino symbol. That's obviously going to be your top. Our breadboard is going to be placed over here, and our Arduino board is going to be actually screwed on over here. You're going to have these 3 screws. When I opened mine, I only had 2. I had to go to the hardware store, buy one, whatever, no big deal. But just be a little bit prepared for that. And we'll be putting it into these 3 holes right here. So again, or take all this out, but right now we're only worried about these 3 components. Okay, so you can see that I've taken the pieces out. These were the original 3 that went into this area. This component, this circle thing was here, and these 2 kind of lined up here, and then these are the 4 pieces that we're going to worry about right now that were previously in here. And we're going to line those up inside these holes right here to kind of make a elevated stand. Okay, and then obviously we're gonna screw it in. So our breadboard is gonna be taped here, and our Arduino board is gonna be screwed in over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in these pieces, and we'll show you what that looks like in a moment. One thing, just remember that Arduino symbols on top. Okay, so now I have the stand pretty much put together. You can see where those legs were sitting, right? So I have a little elevation, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to screw in the board again using these 3 holes. And always notice that these little notches back here represent the back of the board, so the USB and power components are going to be up here. Okay, so now I have the Arduino board on the little stand. You can see where the actual USB and the power cable are up front, right? So there's just in front of the Arduino symbol. Okay, now it doesn't really matter which way the breadboard goes on here. It's just gonna stick, and you can kind of see a little outline right here that will stick it to. And what the breadboard does have on this backing, it just has a little, or on the backing of the breadboard, it just has this tape to it, right? So you just peel it off. Now one thing, be careful just to take the tab off, right? You don't want to pull this off, you'll expose the wire underneath. So again, we're just pulling this off. And we're going to place the breadboard directly here. Okay, so we are rocking and rolling. One thing I do want to point out about the breadboards, and all breadboards have this, you're going to see a little notch. Maybe you can't see it here. See this little notch right here? There's one down here on the bottom. It doesn't matter if that notch is on either side. That all it is if you wanted to connect breadboards, if you had 12 of them, let's say, you can kind of click them in. On this side, there's an indentation where another breadboard could have clicked in. So it doesn't matter. These aren't any indicator of which direction the breadboard is going to be placed onto the actual board. So anyways, that's it. Again, it's just a little stand, a little extra kind of organization and protection for your Arduino board. All right, we'll see you next time.